Hello. Welcome to Bethel Christian Church, where we are the light. We are the light. I pray tonight's message is not just right now for your situation, but for someone you may know. Don't be afraid to share. This is your opportunity to be a light. Oh, and don't forget to hit that like button. We appreciate you. We love you. Enjoy.
Every dollar should have an assignment. When God deposited each of us to the earth, He gave each of us an assignment. And if we do our assignment well, it benefits the kingdom. If we don't do the assignment well, the word says we're wicked and we are evil. When we don't do what the Lord commands us to do. Does this make sense to you?
Yes.
All right? Every dollar you have should have an assignment, and you should know the assignment, and you should know if in fact it is doing what it's supposed to be doing. We call that inspecting what you expect. All right? The word says, know the state of your flocks. And wealth. And so today we want to look at the wealth section category, if you would, as it applies to our theme for the year. Y'all give me just one sec here. Are we good here, Ron? Yes? Okay, perfect. All right. So we've entitled today's lesson, Financial Fitness. Financial fitness. How many people try to take care of your physical fitness?
Yes.
You go out, you do walks, and you try to eat healthy and do some lifting. Is it that muscle mass burns more energy than fat, and so the more muscle you have, the more your body can consume and keep fat and stuff off. As you can tell, I could probably use a little help there. But that's right, I'm going to deliver my baby this year. So, but at any rate, so we put a lot of emphasis and effort and sometimes expense into being physically fit. All right, time. We get up in the morning, we walk, we go to the gyms, we work out, we spend time and effort. But today we want to look at our financial fitness. How are we financially? Are we financially fit? And we've subtitled today's lesson, Know the State of Your Finances.
Yes.
Know the state of your finances. So how many folks have done a financial analysis of your finances recently? Okay, like you do these monthly. Okay, like how often do you work out? Daily. So you do these daily. Right.
All right.
Just like we attend to the physical fitness, we need to attend to the financial fitness. So if we're doing that daily, then we're looking at this daily as well too. The word says know, or we subtopic it, know the state of your finances. So we've we're still in keeping with our theme for the year, taken from our scriptural theme, Revelation chapter 3, verse 8. I know your works. See, I've set before you an open door. So we're still in keeping with our open door theme for the year 24, open doors in 2024, as we walk through with intent and purpose. And he says, I've set before you an open door, and no one can shut it, for you have a little strength. Meaning that if you could have opened the door, or if you could have shut the door yourself, you would have. But the fact that it isn't open or shut is because you didn't have the strength to do it. So God said, I did it for you. And the two prerequisites for doing that is, number one, you have to keep my word, meaning you have to do what I say do, all right, which we'll refer to as steadfastness. And number two, you cannot deny my name. I mean, you have to be loyal. If you deny me before men, Christ, I'll deny you before my Father. He says, if you want to follow me, you got to deny yourself, pick up your cross, and follow me. So you can't deny my name. You have to keep the word and not deny my name. So if open doors are brought about by steadfastness and loyalty, meaning keeping his word and not denying his name, what does it take to having a financial door open for you? All right. What does that entail? What does that involve? All right. And so we determined that financial doors are open by having right stewardship and right relationship. Amen.
That's hard to read, Pastor.
You can't see it?
I can see it, but it's hard to read.
Can y'all not see that? All right, so there are plenty of chairs. Y'all come up closer. I'm not being facetious, I'm serious. If you can't see it, come up closer. Okay, so having right stewardship and relationship. As you see, that little proverb says, it is the heart that gives. It's the fingers just let go, all right? But if you have a right heart, you have no problem giving because the heart instructs the fingers as to what to do. So right stewardship and relationship. And we say stewardship is the careful and responsible management of something entrusted to one's care. So a steward is someone who's managing someone else's. It's not theirs, it's not yours, it belongs to someone else. So as a steward, you carefully and you responsibly manage something that's been put into your care, but not necessarily your own, all right? And then the relationship is the way in which we regard and behave toward each other for two or more people or groups. So careful and responsible management, even between ourselves in terms of relationship, determines how well we do financially when it comes to open door opportunities. Does this make sense? Amen. Everybody follow with me? All right. So if I give you something and then you don't know how to relate to others with it, you may not be able to keep it long. Does it make sense? All right, all right. So we understand, according to Psalms 24:1, that the earth actually is the Lord's, and the fullness of that world, and they who dwell in it. Yes. So the earth is God's. Everything in the earth is God. Even the people who live in the earth, we all belong to the Lord. Amen. Amen. So that nothing we have belongs to us. All that we have, we are stewards of what actually belongs to Him. Yes. And how we deal with it with each other will determine to a large degree. Thank you very much. How much more we will get. All right. So God establishes and fulfills His covenant in the earth by blessing us with the power and the ability to get wealth. Aaron said that earlier today, that God gives us the ability to get wealth. And He does it not because we deserve it all the time, but He has put a promise in the earth to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, that He would bless them. And then to those, the promises of Abraham fall on us now through faith and belief. He promises to bless us. And that way God not only establishes, but fulfills His covenant in the earth. Are you with me? Yeah. All right. Again, but it only comes with proper relationship and proper stewardship. So how we handle our money unmasks who we really are. How we handle our money unveils who's in control. Yeah. So we said, and I'm just kind of bringing you up to speed. These are some previous lessons. Money does not change us. It just unmasks us. All right. It lets you know who you really are. Whoever you are, you are. All right. But giving a dollar to, all of a sudden you begin to see the real person. You remember that show, Will the Real So and So Stand Up? All right. Sometimes money exposes us, it unmasks us, it tells us who we really are. In the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verses 19 through 21, the word says, "Don't store up treasures here on earth, where moths eat them and rust destroys them, and where thieves break in and steal." He says, "Rather store your treasures in heaven, where moths and rust cannot destroy, and thieves do not break in and steal." Now listen to this. He says, "For wherever your treasure is, there the desires of your heart will be also."
Yes.
All right? Listen to what it doesn't say. It doesn't say where your heart is, there will be your treasures. It says where your treasures are, there will your heart be. Everybody understand this?
Amen.
So if you treasure something real highly, then the heart is going to follow that. The heart follows the treasure, not the treasure follows the heart.
Amen.
Are you with me? So you can find a good idea where a person's heart is by where they place their treasures. All right? So that was lesson number 2 in this series. Lesson number 3, we talked about the spirits of money. The spirits of money. What are we talking about? In the book of Luke, chapter 16, verse 13, the word says, "No one can serve 2 masters, for you will hate one and love the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other.
Yes, right.
You cannot serve God and be enslaved to money."
Yes.
Meaning, or I think King James says, you cannot serve God and mammon. All right? And so the idea here is that you will serve one or the other. You will have a master. You will serve one or the other, but you can't do both of them. Does it make sense? So we discovered that Mammon's device is to deceive you. Amos says the word takes on wings and fly away. You think,
What does?
I'm sorry, money, I'm sorry, thinking so hard. Money takes on wings. Like it says it's like having holes in your pocket. Anybody ever work all week long, 2 weeks sometimes a whole month, get a check, and by the time you got the check, it's already spent?
Yes.
And you ask yourself, where did it go? Anybody ever had that feeling like, man, like where did it go? I mean, it's all gone. I still got month left over, no money. Where did it go? So Mammon's is deceptive. Its device is deceptive, and its objective is to control you. Money seeks to control you. Money seeks to control you. Remember, money is a master. You cannot serve 2 masters. Mammon is a master, either God or Mammon. You can't serve both. So it's intended to enslave you. So Mammon's device is deception, but Mammon's objective is to control you. And who is directing our decisions determines who's controlling us. Does it make sense? Mm-hmm. The priority we place over money determines the authority over our lives. Mm-hmm. The priority we place over money determines the authority over our lives. Let me give you an example. How many of you say, I really believe I love the Lord? I mean, you really believe that? You really believe you love the Lord? Okay? Now, most of us probably don't keep checkbooks and bank records and stuff like we used to. But I grant you, if you go to your bank, there's a statement. And the bank generally generates that statement each month. If you go back and look for the past 12-month statement, and you look at where you spent your money, and because most of us are creatures of habit, we do the same thing month in and month out. Amen. You can get over the past year a pretty good idea of where your priorities are. Amen. Your bank statement will tell you where your money is. Mm-hmm. And you say, if I really love the Lord, then in some place in there should be an assignment or something that says I've demonstrated that by what I've done, I've given to him. All right? Amen. And if your statements aren't saying that, then guess what? Probably he doesn't have the place you think that he does. Amen. Because you can't serve 2 masters. So money has spirits. Those are 3 lessons we've discussed already. And today's lesson, as I said, we've entitled Financial Fitness. Know the state of your finances. All right, so in the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, the word says this: know the state of your flocks. Christ gave a parable about they had confronted him. The religious leaders of the time had confronted him about healing a man on the Sabbath day. And Christ gave this parable about the farmer or the shepherd or someone who has 100 flock, and one of them gets lost. He said, who would not go out and leave the 99 and go try to find that 100, even if it's on the Sabbath day? And all of them acknowledged they would, so they stopped. All right. Now my question to you is this: if you don't know how many flock you have, how would you know when you've lost one?
Amen.
That's right, that's right.
Amen.
All right.
That's right.
We talk on Wednesday night. Every dollar you have that leaves your hand should have an assignment. Every dollar that comes into your hand should have an assignment. All right? Okay. So let me give you an example I'm talking about. You got a check. You bring in $1,000. Well, $250 goes to rent. Then $150 might go to utilities. And then my wife just bought, what are you saying to me, sweetheart?
I'm sorry, I said, where's the tithe?
Where's the tithe? All right? So 10% goes to the tithe.
Yes.
Every dollar should have an assignment. Are you with me?
Yes.
And when that dollar doesn't do its assignment, then something goes undone. Does it make sense?
Yes.
All right? So if I've got 250 and then something comes along and says, I want this for your 250, can you then take and reassign that rent to something else that did not have the assignment? But all too often we do that, and then it just causes everything to just get all congested and run together, and pretty soon we're all out of sorts. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Every dollar should have an assignment. When God deposited each of us into the earth, He gave each of us an assignment. And if we do our assignment well, it benefits the kingdom. If we don't do the assignment well, the word says we're wicked and we are evil.
Yes.
When we don't do what the Lord commands us to do. Does this make sense to you?
Yes, yes.
All right? Every dollar you have should have an assignment, and you should know the assignment, and you should know if in fact it is doing what it's supposed to be doing. We call that inspecting what you expect. All right? The word says, know the state of your flocks and put your heart into caring for your herds. Why? Because where the treasures are, the heart will be also. So if your treasures are caring for your finances, financially fit, just like your treasures are being physically fit, then you would find a lot better or healthier financial situations in our lives. Can you agree with this? Am I making any sense to you?
Go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
He says, for riches don't last forever. Is there a witness in the house?
Amen.
Riches don't last forever. You might have made $500,000 last year. But boy, this is a new year this year.
Yes.
All wrong.
And because we didn't properly assign that $500,000 is gone, but you got $500,000 of expenses you created when you made the $500,000, and now you're trying to find a way to make up for it this year because you didn't do what you did do the last year. Does it make sense? Are you with me? Mm-hmm. So he says, put your heart into caring for your herds, for riches don't last forever, and the crown might not be passed to the next generation. Now, here's what I found. I don't care what era, I don't care what nationality, what nation, what language, what ethnicity. Every parent wants their children or the next generation to do better than they did.
Yeah.
Can we agree with that?
Yeah.
We all want our children to do better than we did. We want them, as much as we can, to position them to do not just as well as, but do better than we did. All right. But if we don't take if we don't prepare properly, the word says the crown might not be passed to the next generation. Meaning the next generation may not have the options that you have if we don't take the time to know the state of our flocks, or in this case, our affairs. Does it make sense?
Amen.
My parents left me land Well, are you going to leave land for your parents? My parents left me some money. Are you going to leave some money for your children? My parents left me a good name. Are you going to leave a good name for your children? You know, my parents gave me a good example. Are you going to leave a good example for your children? So if we don't know the state of our flock, we might not pass the crown to the next generation.
Yes.
Does it make this? And it's funny. I shouldn't say it's funny, but the reality is this: I'll drive around town and I'll look on the back of these little stickers on people's cars, and it says, "I'm spending my children's inheritance." Y'all ever seen anything like that?
Yeah.
Anybody ever seen that? So, I'm not believing for them. I'm spending it. And they're going on, they're just having a good, they're not caring about that next generation. But that is not scriptural. Amen?
Yes,
Amen.
The just man, the righteous man sets aside for his grandchildren. That's the word says, the righteous man sets aside for his grandchildren. All right? Now, know the state of your flocks. Know the state of your flock. Know the affairs of your flock. Know your financial affairs. Are you with me?
Yeah.
All right. And put your heart into caring for it. Now, we don't have herds and we don't have stuff like that. We have jobs. And so we have money in exchange for herds. But the point is, you need to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now, let's look at what's going on. Debt. And debt is defined as something owed, or an obligation to pay or repay someone or something in return for goods, services, or monies received. All right, debt. My wife and I, we went to a little restaurant yesterday, and on the restaurant, one of the things they had were the 10 rules of Warren Buffett. Everybody heard of Warren Buffett?
Yeah.
One of the wealthiest men in the world. And I think rule number 6 says, keep your borrowing to minimum. Yeah, don't borrow much. Keep your borrowing to minimum. All right. And there's a reason for that. The word even supports it. There's a reason for that. So in the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 4 to 6 says, God says, when you make a promise to God, don't delay in following through, for God takes no pleasure in fools. So what is a fool? The word defines a fool as someone who says in his heart, there is no God. That's what the word defines a fool as. We call that a theoretical atheist. In theory, they say there's no God. But even though there are folks who in theory won't say that, but in practice they'll do that. They carry on their lives as though there is no God. Meaning God says, in all your ways acknowledge me and I'll direct your path. Don't lean to your own understanding. But our thing is we're pretty smart, so we lean to our own understanding and we factor God out. That's called a practicing fool. Is everybody with me? All right. God said, the word said God takes no pleasure in fools. Keep all the promises you make to him. So when we make a promise to someone about something, God says it's like making a promise to me. Why? Because we are his representation in the earth. Does this make sense? As a child of God, as a kingdom citizen, we then set the example that the world sees. We're the light, we're the city, we're the salt. Everybody with me?
Yes.
All right, now, so he says, so it is better to say nothing than to make a promise and not keep it. Don't let your mouth make you sin.
Yes.
And don't defend yourself by telling the temple messenger that the promise you made was a mistake. That would make God angry. So if you make a promise, all right, Mr. Penny, Mr. J.C. Penny, I'm going to take this card and I promise to pay you back on a certain day of the month. I'm going to pay you X number of cents with interest. And then that time comes and then you come up short and tell me, well, it was a mistake and I should have done it and yada, yada, yada. And all the things we say, God says, don't do that. You make my name, Nathan told David, you give the enemies of God opportunity to blaspheme the name of God. you want to represent God over here, but now over here you just don't do that. That makes God angry. And the word says, and he might wipe out everything you've achieved. All right. So God expects that we keep our debt to a minimum, and that once you get the debt, you pay the debt out.
Amen.
Does it make sense?
Amen.
He says we should be indebted to no man except to love him. The only debt I should owe you is to love you.
Amen.
The only debt that you should owe me is to love me. God says I'll be a debtor to no man. All right. If you give something as little as a glass of water, I'm going to repay you for it.
Yeah.
And so we should be of that same mindset. We should not be indebted to any man. If we make a promise to pay, let's pay.
Yes.
Let's do everything in our ability and power to pay them, because God is actually watching, and He's our source, our portion, our resource, and He takes that personally. All right. Now here's what He says. Here's an area that many of us have really had to really go do some working out on. Where it says in Proverbs 22, do not agree to guarantee another person's debt or put up security for someone else. Does anybody know what that's called? That's called co-signing. You are a guarantor for someone else. All right? He says, don't do that. Don't agree to that. Don't agree to it. Now, and I'm saying we don't do it. And mind you, I'm not trying to put anybody, because I've done it several times. All right? All right? I've since learned differently and better, because I've gone through the other side of having done that. And so now I know from experience, I'm trying to tell you from word, don't do that. All right? God says don't do that. Don't agree to guarantee another person's debt or put up security for someone else. He says, if you can't pay it, even your bed will be snatched from under you. And I'm a witness that you go do that stuff for other folks, and it came easy to them, and when it goes, they really have nothing they have no real skin in the game, and they can just easily let it go, and you're stuck paying for something that you never even got the benefit of. All right? And they will come after you. They'll come and try to take everything you have until you get what it is owed, paid. Right? So God is telling us up front, don't do it. He's telling us up front, don't do it. Talking about financial fitness. He says, now, my child, if you have, because I did, if you've done it, if you put up security for a friend's debt or agree to guarantee the debt of a stranger, or if you've trapped yourself by your agreement and are caught by what you said, because remember we just read in Ecclesiastes, if you said it, God's expecting He expects you to pay it. All right? It's better to not say it. And I'm telling you up front, don't do it. But if you do, he says, follow my advice and save yourself. Whew. All right? If you do it, follow my advice and save yourself. For you have placed yourself at your friend's mercy. All right? We're not be all big and bad, chest all stuck out. Yeah, I do it for you. God said, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm telling you in front, don't do it. Don't do it. But if you do, follow my advice and save yourself. For you have placed yourself at your friend's mercy. Swallow your pride. Go and beg, if you have to have your name erased. Go and beg if you have to. Y'all, please take my name off this thing. Please, please, please do it. Please. And I'm telling you, I know we want to do it. And the word telling us don't do it. But if you should, I know I have, as fast as you can, get from under that. Go save yourself. Go swallow your pride.
Most of the time we do it for our kids, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Most times we do it for someone, if not a child, someone you have a close relationship with. It may not be a child, but you have a close relationship with them. And the reason they're asking you to co-sign is because they've demonstrated that they don't have the credit worthiness to do it themselves.
True.
That's the reason they're asking you to do this, is that based on your credit worthiness, you haven't demonstrated that we can trust you with that. So you need to find someone who will co-sign guarantee for you. And they're very particular about who they'll allow to do that. But God is telling us, number one, don't do it. But should you do, try to get at that thing as fast as you can. Keep your borrowing to a minimum. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Keep your borrowing to a minimum. Here's what it says. Don't put it off, do it now. Don't put it off, do it now. Well, I say not now, but right now. Don't put it off, do it now. Don't rest until you do. Now, do you think God would tell us this if there wasn't a need to tell us this?
No, you wouldn't.
If he's telling us, it's probably because a lot of us have already done it before.
Yes.
Some of us may be looking at doing it again, even right now. So he's giving us some advice up front. How to be financially fit? You don't even know what your own tomorrow is. How are you going to guarantee somebody else's? You know, they tell you, well, I'll work, and I'm going to pay for it. They don't even know if their job is going to they'll have a job tomorrow. You don't even know if you'll have a job tomorrow. All right? And you're going to guarantee for someone else? How you know, so God said, don't do that. But if you do it, get out of it as fast as you can. Don't put it off. Do it now. Don't rest until you do. Save yourself like a gazelle escaping from a hunter, like a bird fleeing from a net. All right? I mean, get out of it as fast as you can. All right? Why? Because just as the rich rule the poor, the borrower is a servant or a slave to the lender. All right? And you'd be amazed at how much blood they can get out of a turnip. All right? You're talking about they can't get blood out of a turnip. You'd be amazed at how much blood they can get out of a turnip. So being financially fit means, number one, let's reduce the amount of debt that we have. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Better look to me. Is that fair?
Yes.
Keep your borrowing to a minimum. And then if you should borrow, do everything you can to pay it back out. Okay? God expects that from us. We're representing him. And he says he'll be a debtor to no man. All right? So if he'll be a debtor, he expects us to not be a debtor. The only debt we should owe a man is to love him. Fair enough? Fair enough. Number two, savings. Savings. Now, how many people believe in savings? Now, statistically, America has less savings than any other country in the world. They say advanced countries. I mean, there may be some that have less, but Americans on average save less than anybody else in the world. Okay? Savings is setting aside for a specific reason during a specific season. So I don't know if we used to have like Christmas clubs. Well, my parents, I didn't have my parents. Y'all may not have heard anything like Christmas club, and they would set aside certain holiday accounts. You know, lay-by, what's it? What it called? Layaway, stuff like that. I know they'll probably do stuff like that today. But I remember my parents were young growing up. They would set aside monies so much, come out of check or whatever, so that when Christmas time they'd have a little money set aside to go out and buy some Christmas stuff, you know. Or we do stuff like, if we know we're going to take a family vacation and it's going to cost X number of dollars, $100, then we set aside $10 a month, you know, starting whatever, so you have the money there. So savings is when you set something aside for a specific reason or during a specific season. And once you reach that obligation, there's no need to save anymore for that. Are you with me? Saving is for a specific season or during a specific, is for a specific reason or during a specific season. That's saving. So Proverbs 6 again says this. Take a lesson from the ants, you lazy bones. Learn from their ways and become wise. Though they have no prince or governor or ruler to make them work, they labor hard all summer, gathering food for the winter. So the ants, they work in the summer to gather food for the winter when there's no food available. But once they got the food available, they don't need to continue gathering. During the winter they do that, and then the summer they do it all over again. Why is this important? Because if you put up more than you need, it can be stolen. Moths can come in and steal it. Or even worse, it becomes your treasure. And where your treasure is, there your heart is. All right? That's why you see so many people who have committed suicide. During times when things were tough, they lost monies, they lost portfolios, they committed suicide. Why? Because that was their treasure. That was their life's earnings. They were depending on it. All right? But savings is for a specific reason or during a specific season. Let me give you an example. Our church roof needs to be redone. Okay? Our church roof needs to be redone. You see some of the repair, maintenance stuff needs to be done in here. So we're going to set aside a saving just to take care of it. Do you see?
Yes.
But once that's done, we don't need to continue doing a saving because it's been done.
Yes.
Does it make sense?
Yes.
It's for a specific reason or during a specific season. All right, now that's the savings. All right. But then you have the investing. And there's a difference between saving and then investing. Because in saving is for a specific reason or during a specific season, but investing is actually getting not only a return of your dollar, but a return on the dollar. Why? Because you want it to increase. Does it make sense?
Yes.
There's a difference between savings. That's one assignment for my dollar. This dollar is assigned to saving. This dollar is assigned to investing. This dollar is assigned to paying debt. Every dollar has an assignment.
Yes.
Are you with me? All right. And I'm not expecting the dollar I have to pay debt to have a return on it because I'm paying a debt. All right. I'm not expecting the dollar that I'm saving to go out and do a whole lot because I expect to use that for a specific reason or during a specific season. All right. But the investing assignment is I'm expecting you to go out there and get some more of you and keep reproducing so that later on when I do come to you, I have what I need. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Everybody with me? Every dollar has an assignment. You don't try to take $1 and do everything with that $1. Okay?
Yes.
That's your hand?
Yeah. I was going to ask a question, like you got a debt. That debt is pretty extensive. And wouldn't it be better to pay off that debt than put money in savings?
Well,
Because you're going to have to pay interest
that's-
on that debt.
That's a very good question. And I'm gonna answer that question. Let me go through the lesson, and then we'll come back to it, all right? Okay. So the question is, if I have a debt, pretty substantial debt, would it be better to pay off the debt than to try to put money in the savings that I can use to retire the debt? I'm gonna come back and answer the question, all right? Let me get through this, okay? Now, so investing is a return on your money. Matthew 25 says this, but the master replied, so in this lesson, Matthew 25, God gives the parable of the talents. And he called 3 young people in based on their abilities, what they could handle. He's the owner. They were stewards based on their abilities. He gave them talent, 1 5, 1 2, and 1 1. And he gave them instructions. And then he left, all right, and he came back at a later date expecting an increase over what he'd given them. All right. The one who had 5, the word says, got 5 more. Well done, good and faithful servant. The one who had 2 got 2 more. He says, well done, good and faithful servant. The one he given 1 talent to, the word says he went and took the talent and he hid it. All right. And he said he was afraid because this master reaped where he had sown and all kind of stuff. So he didn't want to lose the talent that he'd given him. So he went and hid the talent. And so when he came back, he brought his talent back. He was all excited because I got your talent. I didn't lose your talent. All right. But the word says, verse 26, the master replied, you wicked and lazy servant. Meaning, I know what you're capable of doing. I didn't ask you to do what the one who did 5 had done, and I didn't ask you to do what the one who I gave 2. But I did give you 1 because I know you can handle 1. And you're wicked and you're lazy. If you knew I harvested crops I didn't plant and gathered crops I didn't cultivate, why didn't you deposit my money in the bank? At least I could have gotten some interest on it. So nobody plants a corn only get a corn back.
That's right.
That's the way it's working at Julius. If you go out there and dig the hot fuel up and put in 1 peanut and come back 2 or 3 months or 2 or 3 weeks, or however long it is, and get 1 peanut out of it, that's a lot of wasted work. You done dug it up, you done put it in the water, you done let it get soft, you done put fertilizer in it, you done cultivate all the crabgrass from around it, and you do all that work and come back later on all that hot sun and get 1 peanut back. That's not good That's not good farming. All right? So he says, you're wicked. If I give you one, I expect at the very least interest on it. Does everybody understand?
Yeah.
It with me? So he says, God says, the very first spoken words of mankind, when God created, blew it, and they became the breath of life, they became a living being. He says, be fruitful and multiply and replenish and subdue and then dominate. Be fruitful and then multiply and then replenish what's been taken away, and then have fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue, and then have dominion. All right, many stuff is going to come against you to try and prevent it, and then I want you to then go out and dominate. All right, so God expects a return on investment, and so should we. No one puts money aside and then 50 years later, 20 years later, 30 years later, come back and expect to get the same little bit you put in there. That's called saving. Saving, you can do that, but investing, you don't want that. Does it make sense? And some of us are trying to save what we should be investing, and some of us investing we should be just saving. All right. So the word says, wealth from rich or get rich quick schemes will quickly disappear. So here's what happened. Because I haven't done the job that I should have done long ago, now I go out there and try to fast track it. All right. I'm gonna try and get caught up in some kind of scheme. All right. I'm gonna go and gamble. All right. I'm gonna go and sit down at the poker table. And you might get a little winning, but the house always wins.
Yes.
The house it's designed to win.
Yes.
All right. But now you're trying to gamble it, and now you've gotten addicted to it, and now you're losing even more because of what we're doing. Get rich quick schemes don't work. But hard work over time will work. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Where it says lazy people want much, but get little. But those who work hard will prosper. So if you want to be financially fit, get in that gym, get out there and start walking, control what's going in, control what's going out, and pretty soon you'll be amazed at how physically fit you'll be. Well, the same is true financially as well. Okay? Are there any questions on that? Any question at all on that? Any discussion on that? All right?
Thank you so much again for your continued service and faithfulness. If this ministry is a blessing to you, please continue to like, follow, and most of all, share. You are the miracle on 143rd Street. Be a blessing.